Hey there. I want to make a brief, hopefully brief, follow-up to my last video because I addressed Jordan Peterson for a moment, and I want to just make my stance clear on what I think is the last point that on the conversation of Jordan Peterson that will not invoke the same arguments and conversations that we've been having for almost 4 years now. The topic at hand here is truth, and I would like to argue that we are living currently in a world that Jordan Peterson doesn't like. We are living in postmodern times. That's just the phase of history that we are currently living in. We had modernity starting in the 16-ish century and lasting until the 19th century. Then postmodernity started with the early 20th century, and it bloomed halfway through the 20th century. But it's in full force now, more so than ever. The problem of truth has haunted us since the beginning of like every human in human science and hard science, since the developments of different fields of study of knowledge, since the beginning of philosophy, of like physics, science, natural science, of physics outside of this world, astronomy, and also the inner workings of it, like geology, biology. We've had this question: what is truth? How can it be like not only reached but even aimed at? How can we even get close to it? The answer was for observable reality was the scientific method. There's a movie about featuring a bunch of French philosophers, among them Georges Gödel and Jean Paul. The film is called Philosophy and Truth. And in the premises, it's an argument that Gödel makes. There are no truths in philosophy. There is only scientific truth. There are only scientific truths. Well, because in science you have a method to prove an hypothesis is correct. You can collect evidence and repeat an experiment to like update on discoveries, to keep observing a phenomenon, etc. And with like the criteria of falsification, is that the name in English? Put forward by Karl Popper. We had science. Science can tell us facts. That doesn't mean though that they are not also open to interpretation, and that they can be rejected nevertheless. And also, with the scientific method, truth would be limited to science, and anything that cannot be scientifically proven, therefore, cannot concern truth. I think the absolute proof that we are living in postmodern times is that on January 6th there was a breach of the Capitol to prevent the ratification of the electoral results. Although members of the Trump administration were hinting at a second term, like Mike Pompeo did, essentially everyone just conceded power. Everyone was like, okay, election's done, we have a winner, and we have someone else who is claiming to be the winner without evidence. Even his team of lawyers, represented by Giuliani, made they absolutely embarrassed themselves, and they had like people like this lady Sidney Powell, who made claims that resulted in her being sued for like $1 billion amount, and she had to come out and say, well, I was just bullshitting because to save herself, right? At the time, pretty much everyone, even in the media, and I'm saying like even Fox News, they were saying, well, yeah, party's over, right? This is, and anything trying to insist on pushing this idea that there was fraud, is baseless. It has there's no evidence. It's a lie, and well, we shouldn't pay attention to that. That was right after the results were ratified. I mean, not ratified. They were just they were just out. Nowadays we hear more let's say skepticism on the process, but at the time everyone pretty much was accepting of that fact until this happened. Why? What are these people protesting? What are they trying to achieve? They were trying to keep Mr. here in office for just their purposes. I mean, it wasn't like every single person who voted for him. So, like, even if more people like approved of the action, it was a small group involved. And still, they face consequences. How severe that is up to debate, but there were. Meaning that you cannot just claim fraud without evidence. You cannot just insist that that something is being hid from you without repercussions. And yet, the reason why something like this could happen is because of relativism. Remember when it was Kellyanne Conway who said, like, after Trump's inauguration, that Sean Spicer was using alternate facts, right? Letting people believe in the reality that they want, but not like their inner reality, rather the social reality, social and observable reality. That leads to situations like this. And I put that example instead of something like the anti-vax movement or something like that, because it's something that reached federal level. Something of it was a legal matter. We are arguing against laws here. So yeah, like nowadays, everyone is allowed to just. I mean, they are at least given the chance to say whatever they want and believe whatever they want. There are repercussions, of course, if you try to influence like the legal system or a legal process. But still, everyone still has the chance. Like even with censorship, even with persecution, everyone is still given the chance, and for some time, a platform. And we just let them. So that is undeniably an effect of postmodernism. Not postmodernism, postmodernity, because postmodernism can refer to different things, like a collection of philosophical currents or schools of thought, or it's something more of an artistic approach to literature or cinema or whatever, or television. So that does not help. Postmodernity refers to a period. And well, is this good news or bad news? It depends. It depends. It has its pros and cons. Its pros and cons. I am only here to state a fact. I'm not going to argue further against or for this possibility granted to us by relativism. I mean, sure, not only can we believe whatever, but there simply are not certainties anymore. Psychology, for example, is it's an area where Peterson, in which Peterson works, right? It tries its darndest to be a science, to be scientific, but still, it's too young. We have no way to conclusively define what constitutes like an emotional being, an emotional like normalcy, health, stability. There are various various answers given by different models, but still, there is no one certainty. The physics, there used to be until the theory of general relativity introduced in the early 20th century. Physics are now seen as volatile. Well, the laws of physics have changed from Newton to Einstein to nowadays. So we understand that knowledge, science, it all changes. What we hold true changes over time. But now we are aware of that. Now we accept that we know that there are revolutions in science, that theories get approved and then they are discredited. But this awareness should not lead us to despair. I don't see why would it. I mean, the fall of the Soviet Union, representing basically the fall of the hopes of a socialist or communist utopia, hasn't really extinguished those hopes. I mean, not the belief of I just want to come to that part out, but yeah, we don't have any uncertainties anymore, and that is all right. That allows us to be more analytical of the world around us and the methods that we use to understand it. So yeah, it's over. You can exit the video now. Like there's nothing else.